G'day everyone, Rachel from Bookpiles. Welcome to my May wrap up and haul, again in one video. I could separate them, but they'd be 3 minutes long each, so I'm not going to go down that track. It wouldn't enthrall the people watching, I'm sure. So, why such a short video? I only read 2 books in May. Can I claim that one of them really in real money is 2 books in itself because it was 800 pages long? Why did I only read 2 books in May? The first reason is I argued with the first book greatly. I had a real problem with it. Well, that's probably an overstatement. Secondly, I was poorly. Thirdly, I had a hobby retreat thing, and then we got to the latter part of the month and the second book was arriving. So let's start with the book I just did my head in. To Sir Philip with Love, Julia Quinn, book Eloise 5 in the Bridgerton series. I just don't know where to begin with this book. This book was dull. The only bright time, the only time I really enjoyed reading this book was when the Bridgerton brothers appeared in the story. And I think there were a couple of scenes, a few dozen pages in the middle of the book. Otherwise, it did not work for me at all. That she would run off and meet someone that she hadn't met and stay with him and all of that, and him just being It took me 10 days to read this book. It is a bodice ripper. In comparison, I am currently reading a bodice ripper that if I had not had to think I might have to be up to help my mother in the night last night, I would have read in 24 hours. In the end, it'll be read, I'll finish it today, 48 hours. If the bodice ripper is working for me, I can read it in 1 to 2 days if I don't have to deal with other things. 10 days. This did my head in. I didn't like him. I found the story blur. As I say, the only bright spark was when Anthony and Benedict and Colin and Gregory turned up. I am semi-dreading carrying on. I haven't really enjoyed the books. Books 2 and 3 are the only 2 that really have held my interest. Otherwise, I have been a bit ho-hum about everything so far. So I am kind of dreading. I want to finish it. There are 3 more to go, and the second epilogue, which I know are in the back of these books, but I've got them all in one binding, so I'll read it all as one book at the end when I've read book 8. So yeah, I don't know. Just don't know. I really love the idea of a series and a long series and all of that, but it's just beginning to not work. The next book or 2 has to really grab me, otherwise I'm getting to the point where I'm going to go, what's all the fuss? So that was the first book I read that took me 10 days and is about, let's have a look, is that the second epilogue? 372 pages to read in 10 days. By comparison, I read The Missing Sister in 4 days. Let us just do a little comparison. 800 pages. This is The Missing Sister, Lucinda Riley. Yes, much different kettle of fish. So, Missing Sister is book 7 now of 8. Lucinda has announced that there was too much for the seventh sister's story and the father's story to have in one book, so she separated them, and there will be one more book next year. She says autumn of 2022, which for me is like well over a year away, because their autumn is our spring and we haven't even had spring here yet, so it's well over a year away before the last book comes out. So this is the story of the missing sister. Now the theme of these books has been that there are 6 adopted sisters, adopted by a wealthy eccentric man who dies in book 1, or before book 1. He dies before book 1, I think. Maybe I'm wrong. It's been a long time since I've read it. 6 years probably. The 7th sister was never found, and this is the story of who was going to be the 7th sister. I kind of don't want to give too much away for those that haven't read it yet. I know, like, I don't think she watches my video, but I do have a friend at Stitchy Group who is reading the her collection is this size. I missed out on getting the big size because I didn't discover the series until book 2, so I've got the smaller first book, but then everything is big size except for the white one, which was hardback. Why we got a hardback I do not know, but anyway. So what I will say is that the story is set in Ireland. The historical setting is Ireland. The contemporary setting, some of it is actually in New Zealand, and some of it is in Ireland. And I found it initially it didn't grab me. It took me a while to get into it, and then I engaged with it. I know a lot of the Irish history, all of that sort of thing. I used to drink with Irish people a lot when I lived in England, so I know quite a bit about things Irish. So I was happy to have that aspect of it. And at some point in the book I thought, they're barking down the wrong path here. I bet you it's this person, and I was right in that. But that's all I'm going to say on that matter. In the end, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and as I say, I devoured it in 4 days, all 800 pages of it. I probably could have done it quicker if I didn't have a life to deal with elsewhere. So, yeah. So that was my second book of the month. This was also a purchase in the month. We will segue into that. I brought 3 books in May, this being one of them. The other one you've actually seen in the TBR is Alison Ware's Catherine Parr. So this is the last book in the 6 Tudor Queen series, and I'm looking to try and finish that by the end of June, is my goal. I had one of my reading goals for the year was to finish the 7 Sisters series, but that's not going to be possible now because she's making an 8th book. So I will be up to date, well, I am up to date in that series, but I can finish the 6 Tudor Queens, which was another goal. So I'm aiming to do that by the end of the month. Yeah. And the other book I brought, so it's a biography. Okay. This is called The Duchess Countess, the woman who scandalized a nation. And I'll read the back, I think, because I haven't looked at it again since I brought it. So, when the glamorous Elizabeth Chudleigh, Duchess of Kingston, Countess of Bristol, went on trial at Westminster Hall for bigamy in April 1776, the story drew more attention in society than the American War of Independence. A clandestine candlelit wedding to the young heir, to the young heir, words are hard sometimes, to the young heir to an earldom, a second marriage to a duke, a lust for diamonds and electrifying appearance, and an electrifying appearance at a masquerade ball. I apologise, I don't do reading well. In a Delphinius dress. No wonder the trial was a sensation. However, Elizabeth refused to submit to public humiliation and retire quietly. Rather than backing gracefully out of the limelight, she embarked on a grand tour of Europe, being welcomed by the Pope and Catherine the Great amongst others. Her exploits delighted and scandalised the press and the people. Writers were intrigued by her. Thackeray drew on Elizabeth as inspiration for his calculating, alluring Becky Sharp, but her behaviour, often depicted as attention-seeking and manipulative, hid a more complex tale, that of Elizabeth's fight to overcome personal tragedy and loss. So it's a biography, a fresh look at Elizabeth's story, and seeks to understand and reappraise a woman who refused to be defined by society's expectations of her. I thought that sounded quite interesting. So it'll just go on the pile for now. And it'll get read at some point. So that is my May reading. Hopefully we'll do a little bit better in June. As I said in the TBR video, I find that I have noticed in April and May, where I gave myself permission to read whatever and not actually have a list, I didn't do that. I just didn't read. I mean, there were the circumstances in May that slowed things down, but certainly in April I don't think there was any real excuse. So it obviously is that I quite like having a list. To think about what I fancy reading, having a list, writing it down. I put a pile of books by my bed, which is over there, where in my bedroom. I put the pile beside my bed, and I just choose from that pile. I know that's what I need to read. So hopefully we'll do a bit better in June. Okay, I've got a couple of ideas for some videos this month, so hopefully you'll see me again in the next week or so. Otherwise, take care, enjoy your reading, and I will catch you soon. Bye for now.